You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So we're always a little bit behind recording, but I think it's important for all of us to share about how we feel about phase 3, which is what we're in British Columbia right now with our pandemic lockdown. And I can honestly tell you, in January, if you had told me in June I would be thinking about what my life would be like in phase 3, I would have looked at you like, what am I, a science fiction character? Like, what is phase 3? And so I'm just wondering, how is everyone, are you making big changes? Are you doing different things?
You know me, I'm basically just like staying home and away from people for the rest of my life. That like phased reopenings do not faze me at this point, because I'm like so concerned about second wave, and I'm so concerned about like my grandma and like her health vulnerabilities. So yeah, I'm not going to be like going to stay in hotels anytime soon. Still haven't been into a restaurant. I can't imagine that I'm going to go sit in a movie theater anytime soon either. Like I'm either chicken or smart. I'm not sure which one.
I feel like the new language is going to be just asking people, so what phase are you in? Doesn't matter what the phase is that the premier announces. Each one of us has our own internal phase.
Yeah, like some people have been in like phase 7 already the whole time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm staying in phase 1 and sneaking bits of 2. But I did go to IKEA. I will say that. I mean, there are.
You found time for your favorite aesthetic, which is clean minimalism.
You have priorities.
I have priorities. I redid my kitchen. Like I painted all the cupboards and put new hardware on it, and I had to get some storage jars. And where else do you get storage jars? And
look at you with your DIYs.
Yeah, well, more like a DIY fail, but it's not that bad actually.
Well, for me, I actually went to a restaurant in Steveston and sat out in the patio a couple of weeks ago, and it was so relieving and refreshing at the same time to actually sit on the patio and exercising social distancing, of course, but it was such an amazing feeling to kind of get back to a little bit of normalcy that I was used to. So we took a little bit of our chances and increased our social bubble, to a couple of people, but it was challenging to actually go through from March to now without it, and you just adjust to the new normal, right?
Yeah, I feel like this is my new normal, so my life's not going to change. I'm just used to this now. It's normalized. I watch movies online at home. We got a streaming stick, so we could.
I don't even know what that is.
What's a streaming stick?
What is that?
It's like this. So I discovered it because Doxa Film Festival is on right now, and you stream films using their app. But someone was telling me you can buy this Roku streaming stick where it just logs on to all the different apps. Like you can log on to Netflix, Amazon, everything you have, and then just use this one application to see everything. Like you can search, like yesterday, I was like, where can I watch The Wedding Planner? And then you search Roku and it tells you what streaming service it's on. And then you just click it and watch it.
Nice.
Cool.
And yeah, and so all of Doxa's films were also on it via the app they were using. And so you can just watch Doxa on your TV. It simplifies everything. Everything is just in one spot now. It's awesome. Like Apple TV, like NFB. Every streaming service is on there.
So you're just like, it comes on the screen on your TV and you just okay, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Game changer, everyone.
So it is the Maria of television streaming. It is our wedding planner. It makes everything possible, and it cannot fail you. Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And we're so excited. You probably already heard we have a fourth person today. He was talking in our intro, and we're so excited to welcome Leo Damian. Hi, Leo.
Woo. Hello. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to read your bio, like really super officially in like a minute or so, but we're very excited to see your face. We haven't seen you in so long, all of us. And we're really happy to have you here.
Although this is, speaking of phases, this is kind of the way I only see people now, are squares on screens. and depending how many people, the squares get smaller and then they get bigger and then they get smaller and then they get bigger. So I'm going to have a hard time adjusting to actually seeing people, not just above the shoulders.
Yeah, like everyone that has like a waist, I don't even know that you have the rest of your body. Like I'm a shoulders up people now.
It's like we're the Wizard of Oz, just that floating head just around there.
Well, we're going to talk today about the wedding planner. A lot of Pop This listeners will know that we, for at least the last couple of years, have done a bride month for June. And this year we are just doing the wedding planner. We're just going straight to the person who does the official planning. Sorry, brides, you're out of business. It's just, it has J-Lo, and we love J-Lo so much. And I can't believe that we haven't done this movie actually yet. But it makes sense because we were waiting for Leo to do it with us.
Ah, thank you.
The perfect guest and the perfect movie. Well, I don't know if it's the perfect movie.
Wow, let's not go that far. Super excited to have the guest. Less thrilled that I watched this movie. Anyway.
Again, I can't believe it.
I've never seen it, and this was
Really?
shocking to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is
my
J-Lo.
My internalized misogyny about rom-coms that I'm still working through to this day. I think it turns out that I just hate certain bad rom-coms. It's probably not internalized misogyny on this one. Lisa, do you want to read the background?
Yeah, hold on. I'm just having a bit of the synopsis of the wedding planner. While celebrating her newest and most lucrative account, the wedding of internet tycoon Fran Donnelly, Bridget Wilson Sampras, Mary, played by Jennifer Lopez, is rescued from a near fatal collision with a runaway dumpster by handsome pediatrician Steve Edison, played by Matthew McConaughey. After spending the most enchanting evening of their lives together, Mary thinks she's finally found a reason to believe in love. What she doesn't know is that Cupid and her career are about to collide head on.
Fantastic.
That sounds nicer than the movie. I'm sorry.
That's way better than the movie. Thank you, Google, for that write-up. So The Wedding Planner is a 2001 American romantic comedy film directed by Adam Shankman. And that we're going to talk about him a bit later. But written by Michael Ellis and Pamela Falk, and obviously starring J-Lo and Matthew McConaughey. And AG, would you like to read Leo's bio?
Sure. Leo Damian is a Vancouver-based wedding planner from Wish Events. With a Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology and working in human resources, Leo accidentally stumbled into the wedding industry. For over 10 years, Leo and his assistants, the Wish Events Angels, have worked over 100 weddings. Leo's signature is simple elegance, and Wish Events believes it is always an honor to assist in telling people's special stories.
Oh,
so nice, so romantic. Oh my god.
That last sentence there.
Oh, thanks, guys. I'm a rom-com.
So, Leo, you'd seen The Wedding Planner before?
Yes, I have. I think probably 4 or 5 times. It's just funny for me anyways to watch it.
Before, when we asked you, you said 3 or 4, and now it's gone up to 4 or 5. So I don't know what's going to happen.
I don't know
Next
either.
time we ask you. It's the only thing I ever watch. It's on a constant loop in my home.
The truth comes out. It's like 25 times.
Well, I do like that scene in the church where everything is so beautifully arranged with the flowers, the cherry blossoms, the trees.
Honestly, that's my favorite scene in the whole movie. As soon as it came on, as soon as it was happening, I was like making notes to myself, like, oh my God, if this whole movie is just about a woman being so good at her job and like executing perfection like a stage manager, I would be so happy. I would watch 120 minutes of that, no problem.
And
Why can't movies just be that?
I have to say, what made me think of, though, the most beautiful wedding I think I've seen in a movie is Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh my God. Well, that wedding's
That's over the top.
yeah.
That was the most ridiculously. They were like, there was water. Weren't they walking in water? And
Yes.
Full water
okay.
functions.
Yeah.
Like it was, it was like going to a Beyonce show. Like it was amazing.
Like this was nice. I just wanted to offer some perspective.
Oh yeah.
No, stagecraft is fun, but like, I just loved the idea of like this movie entirely being about a woman who's good at her job, and then they have to throw in Matthew McConaughey. Leo, I'm going to give you a preparation, and I'm so sorry. Anything hateful that I say about this movie is not at all a reflection of your love for it. I am crusty about these kinds of things, and I'm so sorry.
Thank you for that, Andrea. I won't hold it against you.
But before we get all crusty, because why don't you tell us the lovely reason why you like this movie? I'm assuming you like it if you've seen it 4 or 5 times.
Yes. Okay. So I love rom-coms. So that's one of the things that I one of my little guilty pleasures. But I really liked it because, it just started getting me interested in event planning. And when I saw this movie, I thought, oh, I could do that. And the beauty and the execution of, how a wedding planner executes the logistics and coordinates an event that is amazing from beginning to end. And, it's a celebration. So that was one of my reasons why I got into this business. But at the same time, I love the aesthetics of it, right? And Matthew McConaughey, eye candy for sure. So, and just seeing the different fashions too for wedding gowns. So it was kind of nice to have that, and I enjoyed the lightness of it and just the way it went off in little tangents that normally doesn't happen in real life. So it's fun.
You mean you haven't held a broken statue penis in your hand every wedding you've planned? Because that's actually the only thing that I want to do.
You haven't had an arranged marriage to a man doing a fake Italian accent?
I've actually had to pull off a groom's photocopying his butt on a photocopier while he was wearing a kilt. So before I got him to walk down the aisle, I had to pull him off the photocopier, and he exposed basically everything to me.
Can we skip this movie and just have you tell us the most heinous stories from your whole career? Because I want that desperately.
It is an amazing experience because I see different facets of the personalities of the bride and the groom and the families. And, the bridal party brings an extra element of excitement and, different unpredictable events. So love it.
Have you seen it? Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, do you think there's as much hooking up between the bridal party and the groom's party, like, as is often the case in films? Like, in films, it's always the thing that, like, oh, who are we going to sleep with? Wedding crashers, like, who are we going to sleep with tonight, Is, like, that really as much a thing?
So I don't experience it as often as it's portrayed, or stigmatized in the films and different shows. So I have seen it firsthand, but not as often in my weddings.
Was it Kilt Man?
Actually, this is another story with that wedding. The best man who was actually supposed to be at the wedding was incarcerated prior to the wedding. So I said to the bride and groom, is he going to be let out before your wedding? Because otherwise you need a stand-in or a backup plan. Unfortunately, he was still incarcerated when the wedding happened. So we had to choose another person for his best man. So
wow. This wedding had it all. Wow.
And the kicker to this one was the groom kept flashing his body parts during the entire evening because he went commando as typical Scottish.
Of course,
Scottish kilt. Sure. The other thing is the bride's mother wanted to have the first dance with the groom.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Was it because of the flashing of the kilt?
Well, no, because she actually wanted to steal the show. She wanted
Never mind the bridezilla, it's the momzilla.
It's the momzilla, exactly.
Wow.
So this wedding had it all, actually. A lot of,
So what do you do as a wedding planner? Do you say, like, I don't know, like, this is really not, traditional or whatever? Like, the bride should probably have the first dance?
I pulled the mother aside because she was wanting to pick the song for the dance. And I said, first of all... Because I said, we do have a schedule that we're following, and the first dance is with the bride and the groom. You are able to dance with the groom later, but you're not going to be the first one to dance with the groom. So I literally had to sit her down.
Was this a surprise to her? Like, was she really like puzzled that?
Oh, well, no, she was adamant that she wanted to do this and wanted to, surprise her daughter. And I said, no.
Oh my God, what a terrible surprise for her daughter.
Yeah, so the daughter was a little bit more, inebriated. So she said, oh, maybe I can take advantage of this. So I said, no, not on my watch, you're not.
Oh my God.
So did you know what song she was going to choose?
I can't remember. This was one of my very first weddings. And I said, oh my God, what am I in for now, right?
This is amazing. And I would so much rather watch a movie about this wedding. If I could just take it back and we could make this wedding, like, oh my God, so good.
It could have been a movie, actually.
Truly.
I guess in a weird way, it is called The Wedding Planner, yet you don't actually see many weddings.
We see like a few when they're doing like that sort of walk through, like when she's showing Fran a couple of different weddings.
Yeah, but we're not actually...
just like the entitlement of them just like going to someone else's wedding, a total stranger they don't even know, and just starting to eat their food and drink their drinks and just critiquing their wedding while they're there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot.
Oh my God.
That's a lot.
And really, honestly, like such rich white people, like it's wow.
And that's an inaccurate portrayal of that, because I would
hope so.
I would never have a potential client come to see a wedding or be present at the wedding. They may attend the church ceremony, but at the reception, there's just no way. So for me, normally we'll just meet with the clients, a potential client, and then sit down and go through a lot of what we offer and what they do need and what they want. And at the same time, we provide references and say, hey, you could check out the video that we did for this wedding, talk to some of our clients who have, hired us for their wedding planning services. So it would never actually happen that I would have a potential client be at the wedding.
Do you have dark tower situations like the lady with the beehive hairdo? Because that made me laugh so hard.
And again, that's a little bit inaccurate, because when I do have something like that, the person in the movie was actually sitting at the back. So it was really non-negotiable if they were going to move her or not, because it wouldn't affect the potential cinematography footage that the videographer or photographers would take, because they would focus in centered and then towards the ceremony staging area, not the back.
No.
So, but can you predict how long a marriage will last based on their choice of song for their first dance?
With the angels.
Is that a thing?
So normally I can't predict if they choose a song for their first dance, for example. So, but when I do meet my clients or potential clients, I get a sense of how much they're in love and how genuine it is. And then I get a sense of which person will be a bridezilla or a problematic client. And at the same time, you get a sense of how important the wedding is and how important the life after the wedding is, right? And I've run into a few clients that I had to say no to because I didn't think our personalities clicked, and I didn't want the extra stress on top of that, because I knew they were going to be quite demanding. And as much as perfection is warranted at every wedding, I have to be realistic with them and say, every wedding is not going to be perfect. there is no such thing as a perfect wedding. The imperfections that you have in your relationships, in your vision for this wedding, is actually what makes the wedding. And it's your personalities that you put into it that will actually make that wedding special. So when you're alluding to all these beautiful weddings that you see on reality TV, like, a wedding affair to remember by David Tutera, for example. He has a TV series of all these lavish weddings. When the brides say, I want that wedding, I said, no, you can't have it. I lay it on the line because, realistically, you have to look at your budget and then timeline. And then, I don't want to have them duplicate a wedding because it's not their personality or part of their personality. I want them to actually engage in the process of this wedding planning. And in addition to that, have it make it their own, because that's their personalities going into it. And it's not just the bride that's the personality going into it. It's actually the groom. So it's a journey for both the bride and groom, not just the bride. Because I get brides coming in with, large binders and files of what they've planned for the wedding. And I said, okay, we'll review it and we'll take elements that you want to incorporate into the wedding, but you don't want to duplicate another person's wedding. And that's the biggest mistake that brides do, because they see this big thing that's on TV, unrealistically, and then they want the same thing. So I said, you have to be realistic and go through what can actually happen and what's going to make your day special for you, not for everybody else, for you.
That's nice. That's really good. And it's nice to be, I think it's so important for people to have someone who's both realistic and romantically inclined to like be part of someone who's like, to be like the person advocating for you, to have the wedding that is meant for you as a couple.
Exactly. Because my premise is that, I don't want you to be regretting a wedding that you did not appreciate and it didn't feel like it was your own. So when you're borrowing different elements from other weddings, we make a twist or create different elements around it. And when I sit down with my clients for their initial consultation, when we're looking at different themes for the wedding, I ask them what they love to do on their own and as well as a couple, because those kinds of characteristics that they have can be implemented into the wedding theme. And it doesn't have to be like, a goth theme or a Halloween theme or Cinco de Mayo kind of themes or, like Mardi Gras, because we create things around that and people will remember, what they felt at the wedding, not because of the theme of it, right? So we want to keep those themes very subtle, but it has to be reflective of who they are, not their families, not their friends, not the vision of the mothers, it's their own vision that comes to life. And that's what we make it come to fruition by going through all those different elements and finally zoning in on what is more important for them for that day.
Just want to ask 2 quick questions.
Sure.
A, do you wear a headset? And B, do you have a little, like a first aid sort of kit where you've got like, Tylenol,
a utility
crazy
belt
glue,
of wonder?
utility belt. Yeah.
Yes. So yes to both, but I wear a headset and my team wears a headset because we are pretty much all over the place in different spots and strategically placed in the church or the ceremony venue as well as the reception. So I normally have 3 to 4 angels with me on site. So that way we can execute all the different elements of the day, the full itinerary for the day. And then I have my toolkit that actually is pretty much a large industrial makeup kit. So it has everything that we normally will probably use at a wedding. So, for example, your Advil, ibuprofen, breath mints, breath fresheners, Band-Aid, sewing kit. I have different types of tapes for different types of situations. So from duct tape to masking tape to floral tape. I have different wiring, just in case flowers do break off, and I can easily put together the bloom and the stem together. I have Sharpies, different, fine point to thicker points. I have different colors of that. We have usually a lot of different tools like a screwdriver, a hammer. I bring my own ladder in case the venue doesn't have their ladder. So I usually bring this all in a small SUV. That way, I have everything prepared. One time I actually brought my own linen overlays and napkins and ribbons to Jamaica so that we did a wedding in Jamaica. And I knew when I did my initial site visit that they weren't going to have a lot of these beautiful organzas and satins and, light linen that I wanted to use for the wedding. So I brought that with me in another suitcase, and we actually used them because when they set up the tables, I said, no, this is just not going to do for me. So I literally, I decorated the reception space and the ceremony space with all our items that we brought from Canada. And another portion of that was when we ordered the flowers, her bouquet was so Mickey Mouse created that I had to tear it all apart and restructure her bouquet to make it my special, unique way of presenting a bouquet to the bride. And it helps when you actually have some floral background in order to create these stunning bouquets that I do. Toot my own horn there.
I've seen those.
But it's part of what I want to do for these brides and grooms, because we create those special moments and add these little touches of detail that actually adds to the atmosphere and the ambiance of the day.
Yeah,
Wow.
I remember, just as a sidebar, Leo gave a floral arrangement workshop to CBC where we all work, and it was like the highlight of my work career at CBC. It was amazing.
Are you
It was
still using the
amazing.
skills that you learned that day?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was so eye-opening.
Well, thank you,
I
Andrea.
loved it.
You know,
That's
honestly, I don't have any formal training in floral arranging, but when I'm dealing with my vendors, like a florist and a wholesaler, I talk to them about the types of flowers that are in season, what would be best to use for bouquets, for boutonnieres, corsages, and arrangements. So I'm learning as I go. And one of the key things that I learned was to learn the basics of flower arranging. And that's what I've transferred onto and shared with our CBC staff.
That's so nice. So I know that I had not seen The Wedding Planner before. Leo, I really appreciate your devotion to this film. Lisa, had you seen this movie before?
I'm a human being, aren't I? Yes. Of course
I'm a
I've seen
human
this
being, and
movie
I had
before.
not seen
Well,
it.
I mean, yes, I had. I
Okay.
had.
How many times
I
have
had
you
it.
seen it?
This could be the third. I can't recall. It's been a
Okay.
long time.
Okay.
Yeah, probably either 2 or 3 times.
Okay. And AG, had you seen it before?
Yeah. I watched, you can't miss a J-Lo movie.
How am I the one person amongst the four of us who has not seen it
it's-
before?
Are you
now?
going to tell me you haven't seen Made in Manhattan now?
Oh my God, you have not seen that?
I may not have seen Made in Manhattan.
Oh, wait, what?
Oh.
Sorry, guys.
Andrea.
Wow.
I know.
Oof.
I have seen for sure. I'm pretty sure I saw Enough. The one where she's like an abused wife and leaves him, and then like gets.
That's
super
not a
jacked.
rom-com. Why did you bring this in?
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bring. I thought we were just talking about J-Lo films. I didn't understand it was rom-coms specifically. Sorry. Okay.
No,
No,
we've
that's
done
not
Out of Sight. We know J-Lo's made movies. We were talking strictly about the
Okay,
Made in Manhattan. Is
Sorry.
is
Okay.
a similar one
okay.
to this one.
Fair. I had never seen this before, and I can I just say that the first glimpse of Matthew McConaughey, I actually gasped because the hair dye job is so bad, and I just was like, who bleached this man's fuzz to look like a poodle? It's terrible. It's one of the most just horrifying dye jobs I've ever seen in my life. I could not understand it.
What?
problem is,
I feel
I
like
have
that's
to-
the color of his hair.
No,
Always.
it was bad.
Oh, it was very light.
It was
way lighter.
bad. Oh
Yeah.
God.
I find I like Matthew McConaughey. I'm just gonna say it. I've enjoyed the odd range of his work. I have watched all of his rom-coms. I've seen Failure to Launch.
Oh,
I've seen 10. You don't like Failure to
Leo's
Launch?
face.
No.
I've never seen it. I haven't
not
seen
good.
most of his work. I
But
hate him.
I like the Kate Hudson one, the 10 ways to
I've
lose a
heard-
lover. I like that one.
Yeah.
I've
You
heard
seen
that
that
it's
one?
good. I've
How to
never
Lose
seen
a
it.
Guy in 10 Days.
How to Lose a Guy
How
in
to
10
Lose a
Days.
Guy in
There you
10
go.
Days. Yeah, I like that one a lot. So
I've
I'm
never
going to
seen
just
that.
say that I quite like Matthew McConaughey, and I have to say I think this is not his best rom-com.
Mm-mm.
It's really
Well,
bad. Like,
he-
can I just also say, sorry, this is like a throwback, but like, I think that I like James Marsden more than I like Matthew McConaughey.
Okay, well, Leo doesn't know our standing. I love James Marsden so much,
And I
I'm the only
hate
one.
him. And
Oh.
now I hate Matthew McConaughey more.
I want to be on his fan club. If he had one, I would.
But I think Matthew McConaughey himself was on some talk show and was asked to rank 3 of his rom-coms, and he put How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days number 1, Failure to Launch number 2,
Oh.
and this movie was number 3.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Well, no surprise. He's terrible in it, and his character is the worst. And I don't understand how anyone could want to stick Mary with this loser. Like,
The
even
doctor.
Those are
even
bold
as a
words.
doctor, he refers to himself in the third person. Is there a more disgusting trait for a man than one who refers to himself as Steve? It's so vomit inducing. Like, I just, like, that's an instant, like, just, ugh. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with it.
No, I know.
And I just don't understand the wardrobe choices in this movie. And when you said, Andrea Gin, when you said it was peak J-Lo, I do, like, for some unknown reason, those form-fitting turtlenecks are like one of her staples, and I get it.
Yeah.
But lavender, like, where
She
do
has
you
the same
buy it?
wardrobe in Made in Manhattan almost.
Yeah,
she
that's true.
does. Yeah,
That's true.
She really, it's kind of, she almost has like a look of a person who's trying to look like they have more money than they do. So they think they'll buy these kind of classic shift dresses and stuff, and they'll kind of, maybe you'll think I'm wealthy or something, but it always looks so cheap. And that's what always surprises me, because there are very few people as beautiful and flawless as Jennifer Lopez.
Well, I just, like, you got to blame the stylists in these films that are just like, well, we're gonna decide that this is what if you think about, like, the trope of her in this film, it's like she's a woman who works so hard. She hasn't had a date in 2 years. Although we find out later it's because, like, her last fiance left her, like, the day before or at the wedding dinner or whatever. Rehearsal, thank you. But, like, it's all set up as, like, oh, she's so busy that her dad just needs to set her up because she hasn't had a date in so long because she works so hard. You know how these hardworking ladies are. They work so hard and they have so many aspirations for their careers, they forget to have sex. And, like, this is when you stick a woman in a tight turtleneck to contain her sexual energy. The only time she gets to, like, at all free, like, stylistically, is when she's in that dance class. Like, she shows up in a sort of normal outfit in that dance class, and she, gets to take off her coat and be beautiful.
Those weird choices, like that weird leather, 3/4 leather form-fitting jacket that you wear out to the park to watch a movie. It looks so uncomfortable. Like, that was the oddest.
It's a very, like, Buffy the Vampire Slayer when she would go out to fight and troll the graveyards. And so it is circa 2001. It's like, it is relevant to the time period, I think. But it's not good.
You have to look at how, as a organized, meticulous, and anal type of personality that she has in regards to her work, her career, her life, the outfits that were given to her were that kind of, fitted and neat and clean and tight.
Yeah.
So it really was kind of reflective of her personality and what did she did for work as well.
And all about, like, not taking attention from any brides, because she fades into the beige carpet of every room.
Yes.
So, like, she's never sort of the star of her own, romantic comedy, as it were. She always is, like, the sort of, like, it literally takes a man rescuing her from a garbage truck to, wake her up into a sort of this new life, this, like, I mean, frankly, hellish nightmare of a life if you're going to fall head over heels for that guy. But anyway, yeah, I just...
Did you
come on,
also
that's not
find
that-
it
I didn't-
unnecessary that she was Italian in this movie?
I found it unnecessary that she was Italian. I found it unnecessary that they
Why
made
wouldn't
the
they
one
just-
cab driver in San Francisco Chinese. I found a few. I found a bunch of things like sort of like race wise a little bit weird. I also found Steve's whole thing is that he's like constantly sort of putting her down, like he was as if he read The Pickup Artist, and like this is what he's doing to her all the time. Like he's constantly negging her, and it's super gross. And yeah,
because like they could have easily made her character like her and her family from Puerto Rico. You know, it would have been this is a fictional made up story.
Yeah.
Like you could easily change this to accommodate your movie.
And then Karev wouldn't have had to have done that voice.
Oh my God, that Italian accent is...
it was awful.
And all I kept thinking was Karev, like, was this his very... If that doesn't mean anything, you don't watch Grey's Anatomy.
But I knew him from Grey's Anatomy, and I was just like, oh man. But it turns out, I guess, when I was reading the Roger Ebert review, at the time, he was just known as like a Calvin Klein model.
Yeah, just.
And but like that's all he did. And this was like, I guess, his first like big role.
Yeah.
But also, A-Dubs, you brought up the cab driver thing, which is...
Yeah.
I don't know if many people got this, but like there's like a super racist incident when he's talking to Judy Greer's character and she's like, oh, J-Lo's gone off to get married, and he's about to go after her, and he goes to like hail the cab, and he goes,
it's the same
ni
cab
hao,
driver.
ni hao. Yeah, but he also says ni hao like twice to him. As like...
And then bodily assaults him to shove him into the driver's seat so that he can drive the cab faster.
I know.
And,
like Judy Greer should have phoned J-Lo at that point and been like, run away. Just run.
Honestly, at every
Keep
point,
running.
there should have been a runaway. Like, he makes fun of her big neck, and I know that's supposed to be charming, but, like, I don't like that. And then he, like, does something. He makes fun of her wanting to dance, and then, like,
he puts down her Scrabble hobby.
He puts down her Scrabble hobby. Like, the Scrabble thing was the coolest thing about her, outside of her good, like, her ability to do her job so well. Like, outside of the man, like, saving children, which I have no proof that he's saved children. I just know that he, like, apparently runs a pediatric daycare where he lets his clients climb on top of a comatose woman. That, like, you know, ugh. Sorry. Steve got me so mad. Like, honestly, all of my notes from my phone are just like, I hate Steve. I hate Steve so much. Is Steve ever going to be redeemable? I actually had to, like, I was cheering for this man who actually seems to care about her, even though he's a weirdo who's just been, like, promised her hand by her father, because at least he built her a dollhouse and seems to respect her as a person. Like, he's not just playing games with her, and I can't believe that those were my two choices for her romantic pairings.
Okay, but can we just... I agree with all the things you said. However, I just want to add that I did think that was a tremendously romantic day, that you get saved and, you know, by someone, and then you go out into the park and watch a movie and have this beautiful dance, and then the rain starts. I mean, it's like with a rom-com within a rom-com.
Yeah, I can agree that that's romantic.
But I mean,
So
unless you're looking at it from Fran's point of view.
Well, okay, there you see. Now that we don't know yet.
We don't know.
I don't know
that.
Honestly, I didn't know. I did not know. And then Fran comes in, and he talks about Fran so lovingly when he has that moment where he's talking about how cool she was. And I'm like, so this is a man who can recount within seconds why he feels he's so lucky to be with her. And then in the next second be like, yeah, but this other lady, we had this dance in the park, and then she like removed a solvent penis from my hand. And I guess this is love. This is what I've been waiting for my whole time. Like, ugh.
I don't feel like I got a scene like I did. There was the scene which I thought was a little bit sweet, when they agreed not to marry at the end, which I thought was kind of nice. Just
kudos to Bridget Wilson Sampras, because I thought she did a pretty good job with the thankless role.
Yeah, exactly. But up until that point, I never. I wish I'd had some more moments where you could see where it was wrong, because nothing seemed wrong. I mean, granted, Olivia Newton-John, honestly love you, would just...
Well, yeah, to me, like, the point of the movie where she agrees to marry Massimo with the Scrabble spelling okay.
Okay, that's romantic. Sure.
At that point, I was like,
S-U-R-E, sure.
At that point, I was like, oh, okay, this all works out.
Me too. I was like,
really?
okay, cool. Yeah, I honestly was like, okay, like no one's gonna marry Matthew McConaughey. This is the ending this movie needs.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would throw themselves over for him. Leo, did you maintain your affection for him throughout the story?
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah.
Who did you want?
Because I mean,
who did you want him to be? No, I'm kidding.
I actually was rooting for Massimo because when he presented
Salute,
Mary
Team Massimo.
the dollhouse, and then like made the macaroni and cheese dinner, like it was so heartwarming, right? And it really kind of showed that Massimo, wanted to build a life, right? As much as he teased her during their childhood, and then this.
And so he never lost his accent all those years.
He had been freshly shipped in from Sicily that morning. Like
but how did they grow up together then? Visits?
I guess when she went to go visit the family back when,
back home.
But you kind of get the sense that like after this movie ends and her story continues, like she's unhappily married to Steve. She can't play Scrabble anymore. She doesn't like she's, and they're just miserable, and she's like wishing that she married Massimo, but it's way too late now. And like you feel like that is the future of that character.
I agree.
Yeah, but she's gonna go visit him. He's gonna have like 10 kids, and then he's gonna be super happy. And it could have been you.
That was a perfect Massimo impression. I just want you to know.
Yeah, good one, Lisa.
This is the thing about this movie is like I think Jennifer Lopez is really, as usual, doing just the heavy lifting. Because I think she's great in this movie, even though it's not a good movie for me personally. I think she does as good a job as she can trying to like convey romantic feelings for this, I don't know, like weird loser. Sorry, I'm so mad at him still, it turns out.
He does have a lot of skills, and I did not anticipate it would be horseback riding. I mean, that was
like the horseback riding like came out of nowhere. That was that was good. I mean, he is a good dancer as well. I think I don't understand the referring to himself in the third person. Like, I think Matthew McConaughey used his clout to make a lot of weird personal acting choices in this film that ultimately kind of ruined it. Like, I mean, partly we can blame the writers, I think, as well. So the writers, this was seemingly their first script ever. It was Adam Shankman's first film as a director. Adam Shankman, who would go on to like spend 7 seasons on So You Think You Can Dance, and then
but he did do Hairspray, which I loved.
No, he did a bunch of films. He did A Walk to Remember. He's done a bunch of films.
Oh my God! Don't talk about A Walk to Remember.
I've never seen A Walk to Remember.
What? Oh my God! Oh my God! You need like a box of tissue.
Yeah. Oh, I cried so hard.
Yeah.
You like Mandy Moore.
I do like Mandy Moore, but I've just never seen A Walk to Remember. Yeah, no, I know. It's.
Oh, you have to see it.
I'm excited to see it. And I know that he got better as a director, but like this movie as a rom-com is really neither rom nor com. And I guess I just like all the things that should be funny are really clunkily sort of executed. Like, again, that penis thing, like that should be kind of funny. I love a good penis joke. And it's just really just terribly executed. Like it's not humorous, like, or I just want it to be better. I don't know. It's so weird.
What I didn't get, and what I like in a rom-com is really great romantic moments. But anytime they were together, it was awful because you didn't think they should be together. He's engaged to someone else. So you didn't get to have nice feelings about love.
Well, and I found the part where like she runs into her ex-fiance and it's terrible, and she tells that story is just like, so this exact same thing that you're doing to someone else happened to you.
Yes.
Right.
And you like did not learn anything from it. And you have like no empathy for, what Fran's going through.
Well, I think
Do
she
you think
does.
it was
I think
Matthew McConaughey's idea to roast the marshmallows? Like, who does that in the middle of a house?
This is the thing where I think that like she does have an idea of why that's so horrible, and she's like, Matthew McConaughey brought this drunk woman home, lit a bunch of romantic candles and a fire. I mean, San Francisco, I know, gets a little cold, but come on. And then like eats marshmallows where I don't know where he got them from, her kitchen or like what
he'd made a stick out of a clothes hanger, but she didn't look like the kind of gal that would have wire clothes hangers either.
Or marshmallows.
No.
Frankly. Yeah, and I just like, so he has done this. He has like showed up and or he's brought her home, and he's like doing like honestly the most to kind of like help manipulate her confused feelings about him. And then he leaves and then comes back and tries to like get her to do the invitation inside. And she does say no. Like, I think like regardless, like she has feelings for him, which you can't really like avoid if you have feelings for people. I think I get that. But I think she does in the back of her mind say, I don't want to do this to Fran. I don't want to be like the other woman again, Like, I think she does take ownership of that in a way that Steve never does. Literally, they're 5 minutes from walking down the aisle, and he takes her aside and is like, so, I don't know, you love me? Like, he can't even say to her, I don't want to do this. He puts the onus on Fran.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
To be a grown-up.
Good point. Yeah.
Like, he's trash.
Yeah, and then I don't understand. Is that so, Mary's just sitting in the park and she's like, oh, this is terrific. No, this is a terrible beginning to a relationship.
Well,
absolutely
also,
terrible.
Why has she picked up his disordered eating about M&Ms? Like, they have a future of nothing but disordered eating and bad
littering.
Sex. I know that and littering, it's not good. Like, their romantic future is terrible.
It's biodegradable.
Okay, fine. But I mean...
Are M&Ms are you sure about that?
Not if she believes that the artificial coloring is going to kill her. Like, I just... Yeah. It's so weird. So I wish we spent more time seeing her do her job, because I think that's the part of the movie that I really appreciate, is like seeing her do good work and seeing her negotiate and like hustle for herself. And she like, Kathy Najimy really has like a sort of throwaway role as her boss, but like, it's still a nice moment to sort of see her just articulating her worth. And like, there aren't a lot of films, I think, that like let women be successful, even if they're going to punish them romantically down the road. We at least get a nice 20-minute segment of her being, good at her job without it being a signifier of the absence of her wholeness as a human being.
You know what, Andrea? I agree with you that they should have actually added more wedding scenes for her to shine in the movie, because that's the essence of the essence of her personality, was how good she actually was in doing her job. The other facet of her personality, family life was important to her. Her mom passing away, and and being taken care of by her dad, or being raised by her dad. Those are really significant moments, right? That brings her personality become a whole. And I think when she deals with different clients, and again when Steve comes into the picture, her personality has to deal with the chaos, which she tries to contain and control the way she does her event planning, right? So, I think it should have been more of the wedding experiences, because then you can see how she normally deals with different interactions with different types of people. And that might have been a better movie to solidify her as a person, as a whole, as a successful person that is striving for a better career and opportunities.
So Leo, have you ever had a wedding that you planned but got called off at the last minute?
Yes, I have.
Oh my goodness! Oh.
So
is the check clear? That sounds callous, but.
Did you have a lot of quiche to eat later, or what?
So it wasn't so much the last minute. But what happened with one of the weddings that I was planning was I was in Toronto the last 3 years, and I was planning a wedding from Toronto in Vancouver. And so the couple, the bride actually called me one night, and this was 3 months before her wedding. And she called me and said, I just found out my fiance's been cheating on me.
Yeah.
And it was a person that was working with him at work. And so she literally called me that night and started bawling her eyes out and just literally devastated with this. And a week or so, we were conversing every night. And I said, are you guys going to be thinking of seeking counseling, salvaging this relationship? What are your thoughts, and how do you feel, that you have to listen to your heart? Are you going to be able to trust him? Because is this the first time? So I really had to provide a little bit more of a counseling session with her and, understand where this whole thing stemmed from, right? And I said, have you seen these different, clues or hints that he may have been cheating? And apparently the groom was cheating for over a year. So,
but he still wanted to get married.
And she still wanted to get married.
Oh.
And I said, you know what? You and him have to actually now go to counseling and just figure this out and see if it is actually what you wanted. And as much as he pushed for the wedding to happen, she literally canceled the wedding. And we were doing the wedding at Pac Rim, one of the more expensive venues in Vancouver, the Fairmont Pac Rim Hotel.
Yeah.
The minimum spend was $20,000, and within the time frame that this incident was happening, all of the final payments for the venue had to be paid, and certain structure payment plans were happening throughout the year, and then you can only get X amount of discount or refund depending on the timeline that you committed to. So $20,000 could not be recovered.
Oh.
So they had to cancel the wedding within 2 months of that wedding. And all of the vendors, deposits were paid for the vendors, only balances were due. And those were all basically were not paid because we didn't go through with the services that we required. But the wedding dress was already shipped.
Oh.
So she was going through her second fittings to final fittings. All the bridesmaids' dresses were ordered and shipped.
Oh, man.
All of the invitations and all of the party favors, all of the flowers were ordered, things like that, right? So $20K, 2 months before the wedding, they couldn't recover it. So the only option was that the hotel was able to provide them with a 6-month time frame to either use the venue with a $20K down payment, or if they could sell the space, they would be able to get their money back. But neither the groom nor the bride wanted to use the space for their own private function, family, for friends and whatnot. And so they lost the $20K when the time deadline came around.
Do you ever keep up? Do you know what happened to her?
So the bride has now moved to the States because the groom was supposed to actually go to school in San Francisco. And then the bride is now living in Boston, doing a different role and job. But her twin sister lives in Vancouver, who I did the wedding for. And so I keep up with the twin sister here just to kind of see how she's doing. But it was not a good year for her. She just got this new promotion at work. Things were going so well. She was, getting down to her ideal size that she wanted for the wedding. She worked so hard towards this event, right? The special day.
Oh,
and then he has been doing this for over a year.
Does it, it always seems to me that, I don't know. Weddings are obviously a deeply individual thing, and people do different size weddings all the time. When the characters in the wedding planner, the one commonality that they appeared to share, J-Lo and Matthew McConaughey, is that they both wanted a small intimate wedding on the beach. But like, to me, when I was listening to that, I was like, so one of you has agreed to a ginormous wedding that's deeply elaborate. The other one of you is making a butt ton of money planning this enormous wedding. And so your point of bonding is that you would prefer intimate small beach gathering as like a testament to like how you belong together. I was appalled by the hypocrisy in that moment.
We're just simple folk who ended up here. How did that happen?
Like, as if neither of them have had any agency in these situations at all.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a theory that like Fran is the only decent person in this movie.
That seems fair.
Yeah, I think Mary's not terrible, but Fran is the only decent person. And it's so rare that the woman who is getting dumped, as it were, just gets to be a decent woman. So, I mean, that is something...
She knows she doesn't have to be with Matthew McConaughey. She dodged the bullet.
But it's kind of great. Like, this is the one thing that the script, I think, actually delivers on, which is not making a villain of a bridezilla. Like, there's no bridezilla in this film at any point, which is kind of rare for a wedding movie.
Yeah.
Not so much, because the mother, Fran's mother,
she just wants to sing. Like,
and drink.
They if you listen to the conversation that they had is that, we're paying for this. We want to show it off to our, circle, right?
Like, I guess the parents are monsters.
They are. So they wanted to control a lot of the wedding. But if the inference in that they wanted an intimate wedding, or they came to a kind of agreement, is that you'll have to look at McConaughey or Steve, for example, that it was Fran's vision to actually have this big wedding through her parents, right? Because she wanted to fulfill their wishes and their dreams. So Steve didn't really have much to say about it, because typically, generally speaking, the grooms don't really have a lot of say in what happens in the wedding. But for me as a planner, I actually incorporate them from the get-go and literally put the onus on both of the bride and the groom, because in our consultations, I said, the groom has to be an equal partner in this journey. Otherwise, what voice does he have, for example? Because typically the bride will have, again, this big file that she has planned everything. The groom literally has just a small contribution. He just needs to show up, the typical, you just need to put on
at least 4 guys in a tux, you'll do here.
Exactly.
But it's always so sexist, that portrayal. And I always think like the stereotype of it is that like that women want this and that guys also want this, but I don't think it's true. Like, I don't think it has to be true.
But Andrea, I've seen it time and time again with my clients, is that the groom literally does not want to be too involved. The key thing for me is that I reinforce it. And I said, you know what? You're going to go through stress through this entire journey. And I want that stress to be equally distributed and shared between the two of you.
Yeah.
So
I think it's like super feminist of you to make that.
Because I'm the planner, I will guide you through this journey. But at the same time, I need you to do your homework, because I'm going to assign the homework to you. But I need you to come back to me and say, this is done. Because I do check-ins every 2 weeks with my clients. And if they haven't done their to-do list in a certain time frame, I hound them. So,
wow.
So it's not just coordinating the day of. It is literally guiding their way down this journey so that their wedding becomes both their responsibility and both their enjoyments. Because the more input and the more participation you have in it, it becomes very important. And the final day, happens, and you truly enjoy every single moment. Because I'll take away all the stresses during the day and, dodge bullets and coordinate and logistically put things in motion, because I control that day. I want each of my clients and their family and friends to enjoy every moment, because those moments fly. So when you look at Mary saying that, I don't want a lavish big wedding, planners that I've talked to even for myself, I have this grand vision of my wedding day. I had expressed this to my ex at the time that I wanted 1,000 doves flying over my head.
You just want bird crap everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
It is like your true scenario.
And you can't do that now, right? But I also wanted, 20 of my exes lining as my ushers. So, this is the elaborate vision, okay? But
I've never heard of a wedding like this, ever.
Well, because that is my vision.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Right. Fair.
But I wanted, 20 tiers of my wedding cake to feed my 500 guests, right? But the thing is that going to be a reality? No, because deep down that I feel is that it is only a day for my spouse to be. To have a special moment, to celebrate it with our close family and friends. And so when I hear, couples saying, "Oh, we're going to have 1,000 guests," and I'm like, "Oh my God, is that really, really what you want? Do you know every single person that's going to be attending this wedding?" So let's scale that down to something that is actually what you want. Because now it's what your parents want. It's not what's expected of you. It's actually what you want. So it drops from 1,000 to 200, for example, and
then, like 20 birds to 2.
To 2, exactly.
No, that's perfect.
So for Mary, when she says and with Steve saying that, I do want a smaller, intimate wedding, it is literally true that some planners that I know don't want that lavish wedding that they plan for other clients.
That's
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they want this moment to be special. They don't need to show it off to the rest of the world.
And they've seen how ornate it can go, and they don't need that. Yeah.
And the expense, one of my biggest weddings, the budget was $100,000. And we did it at the Sparkling Hill Hotel in Vernon, where it's owned by the Swarovski family. So every hotel room had crystals, like not just small crystals, but big crystals in the bathroom embedded into the walls, into the tub. And they have hanging crystals in the property.
It sounds subtle. It sounds very subtle.
Oh, very subtle. Beautiful. And they have, 9 different spa treatments in which you go from a cold spa to a warm spa to a hot spa. It's so relaxing.
So I would be like, screw the wedding, let's just do spa. So at the end, maybe we'll say I do.
I'll send you a little video of it, and you'll see how stunning it is.
Yes. I can't wait. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't wait.
This bride actually switched her date because I wasn't available. So she called the hotel and says, "What dates do you have available in August? Because I need to make this change for my planner."
This is amazing. I love this so much. And honestly, I wish that we could talk to you about this forever and ever. But our episodes run about an hour, and we're probably already going to make Andrea Gin cut some of this. So, all right. So we love to sort of say whether or not we think the film itself has popped. Leo, does the wedding planner pop for you?
Yes, it is.
Cool. Lisa?
No popping. Sorry.
AG.
I'm just going to unpop.
No, it's AG.
Not so much, no.
Yeah, sorry, I hate it. So we love to leave our episodes on things we recommend. We don't have Lisa to do the recommendations today. We had to do a bit of a re-record, but we're going to start with Leo, our guest of honor.
So I've been looking at True Blood, or seeing True Blood as a re-scene. Fun tidbit of, vampires and the bayou in New Orleans. Yeah, love the True Blood series of HBO.
I have to admit, as a young pervert, I really loved how swampy and sexy it was, and that was really my thing.
Love it.
AG, what about you? What do you recommend?
I wanted to recommend a friend of mine who's a fashion designer. She has a clothing line called Alice in Wonderland, and she's a local Vancouver designer. And I've been wearing her clothes I've known her since high school, so for a very long time.
That's so nice.
Nice.
Yeah, she does she tries to use as many sustainable fabrics as possible. She gets her stuff sewn locally. And so, yeah, it's a great brand to support. And I think it's just really important to support indie designers, especially at this time.
Totally. Nice. I'm going to recommend a friend too. My friend Jillian Christmas has a new book of poetry. It's called The Gospel of Breaking, and I'm just going to read this description from Arsenal Pulp's website. In The Gospel of Breaking, Jillian Christmas confirms what followers of her performance and artistic curation have long known. There is magic in her words. Befitting someone who, quote, speaks things into being, Christmas extracts from family history, queer lineage, and the political landscape of a racialized life to create a rich, softly defiant collection of poems. And it's a really beautiful collection of poetry. I highly recommend it. The Gospel of Breaking by Jillian Christmas.
Nice.
So thank you so much, Leo, for coming and hanging out with us. We really appreciate it. It's been so fun.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be on the podcast. So,
if our listeners want to find you, where do they do that?
So they can reach me at wisheventsbiz@gmail.com or check out my Facebook page at Wish Events by Leo Damian. Happy to talk to you.
Awesome. Call Leo, book your wedding. We also, you can hang out with us on Facebook too, or Instagram, or Twitter. You could email us at popthiscollective@gmail.com. And if you wanted to rate and review us 5 stars on iTunes, that'd be awesome. Do that. And normally this is where Lisa would say, thanks to Andrea Gin for hanging out with us on the podcast and also producing us so nicely. Also, you're going to have some real edits to do since we've had a few tiny technical hiccups throughout this recording. So I appreciate your dual efforts, AG.
Yes. I mean, I do it because I love you guys so much.
Awesome job, AG.
Yay. Thank you. Thanks again, Leo. And thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been really fun.